What if I told you the Indiana Fever just made a move so shocking, so unexpected? It's left the entire basketball world in disbelief, a coaching change no one saw coming. Stephanie White, the trusted leader who once carried this team to greatness, gone, and in her place, a name that needs no introduction. A legend, a man whose very presence in the game sends chills down your spine, Larry Bird. Even Caitlin Clark, the face of the WNBA, the rookie superstar rewriting history, was left absolutely speechless. But here's the real question. Why? What on earth could have sparked a decision this bold, this risky, this downright historic? Because make no mistake, this wasn't just a press release, this was a shockwave. Not the fans, not the media, not even the most seasoned analysts could have predicted what was about to happen inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The arena started like any other night, buzzing with anticipation, until Caitlin Clark stepped up to the microphone. And then, silence. A silence so thick you could feel the tension in the air, every fan holding their breath, every reporter leaning forward, every camera zeroed in on her face. Then she spoke, and with just a few words, she dropped a bombshell that would flip the WNBA on its head. The Indiana Fever had a new head coach, but this wasn't just any coach. This was Larry Bird, a legend stepping back into the spotlight, but this time in an arena no one ever imagined. Instantly, the ripple effects spread. Online, in locker rooms, in sports shows across the country, questions exploded. How did this even happen? What secret talks and behind-the-scenes deals brought Larry Bird into the Fever's orbit? And more importantly, could this unlikely partnership change not just the team but the entire WNBA forever? Because Caitlin Clark isn't just a rookie anymore. She's become the heartbeat of a franchise, a cultural force, and now a catalyst for a revolution in women's basketball. This wasn't just a coaching announcement, it was a turning point, a spark that could light up a whole new era for the WNBA, one filled with risks, challenges, and possibilities no one ever saw coming. And if you're wondering how Caitlin Clark became the type of player powerful enough to make something like this happen, well, that's where her real story begins. Caitlin Clark didn't just join the WNBA, she rewrote the rulebook. In just one season, she turned the Indiana Fever from an overlooked franchise into the league's hottest ticket. A team once fighting for relevance was suddenly the center of the basketball universe, all because of one player. Attendance at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, through the roof. Season ticket sales, up by more than 400%. The same arena that once felt half-empty was now packed to the rafters, buzzing with fans desperate to catch a glimpse of Caitlin's magic. But the transformation didn't stop at the court. Corporate sponsors came knocking, brands lined up, and suddenly everyone wanted to be part of the Caitlin Clark effect. From local shops to powerhouse companies, her name carried weight, her presence guaranteed impact. And online, forget about it. Every highlight clip, every no-look pass, every clutch shot went viral. Analysts couldn't stop talking. Casual fans couldn't look away. Media outlets everywhere jumped on the wave. Feature stories, interviews, primetime coverage. Caitlin Clark wasn't just a rookie anymore. She was a movement, a cultural phenomenon that extended far beyond basketball. But here's where things get even more interesting. Unlike most rookies, heck, unlike most stars, Caitlin held real power inside the organization. Her influence wasn't just on the floor. She had a voice in decisions that usually belonged to executives, coaching hires, team strategy, even the direction of the franchise itself. The Indiana Fever weren't just a team anymore. They were her team, an extension of her vision, her leadership, her brand. She wasn't just playing the game, she was changing the game. But with power comes tension, and soon cracks began to show. Because while Caitlin was redefining what it meant to be a game changer, not everyone was convinced that Stephanie White, the team's head coach, was the right person to guide her. Now don't get me wrong, Stephanie White is respected. She's accomplished, she's led teams to success before. But when it came to unlocking Caitlin Clark's full potential, something wasn't clicking. And Caitlin, she finally decided to speak out. But here's where the storm really begins to brew. Behind the highlight reels and viral moments, Caitlin Clark has quietly been fighting a battle of her own, a clash of styles with head coach Stephanie White, and Caitlin herself admitted it. During a podcast sit-down with Sue Bird, she pulled back the curtain on just how difficult it's been to play under White's system. Now keep in mind, This is a player who once dropped 32 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds in a single game. She's not just performing, she's dominating. But even then, Caitlin revealed she sometimes felt held back. Take her matchup against New York, for example. Caitlin said her instinct-driven style, the fearless high IQ aggressive playmaking that makes her special, was stifled. Instead of being encouraged to push the pace, take risks, and put on a show, she was told to play it safe. And the breaking point. A critical fourth-quarter turnover. One mistake, and instantly she was benched. White called it a teaching moment, but Caitlin, she saw it as a chain around her game. Because here's the thing. Basketball, to Caitlin, isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about maximizing opportunities. It's about trusting instincts in real time, feeding the energy of the crowd, and making the kinds of plays that can blow a game wide open. Yet time and again, White's cautious approach slowed her down. Even with the Fever holding a lead, Caitlin said opportunities for easy baskets slipped away, her vision ignored, her passes to wide-open teammates like Kelsey Mitchell or Sophie Cunningham left on the table. And the fans noticed. What should have been electrifying basketball sometimes felt boring. But the heart of the conflict runs even deeper. According to Caitlin, White has been trying to reshape her into something she's not, molding her game into the style of a more conservative player, someone like Paige Bueckers. But Caitlin Clark isn't Paige Bueckers. She's a generational talent. A fearless playmaker who thrives on improvisation, risk, and creativity. Trying to box her in doesn't just frustrate her, it diminishes her greatness. And this is where the real tension lies. How do you balance the structure of a coach's system with the instincts of a once-in-a-lifetime player? Because if Caitlin Clark is right, the Fever aren't just wasting her talent, they might be holding back the very player who could redefine the future of the WNBA. For Caitlin Clark, the message couldn't be clearer. Her greatness shines brightest when she's trusted to play free, instinctive, and fearless. No handcuffs, no hesitation. And that's exactly why the question became unavoidable. Who has the vision, the authority, and the legendary legacy to unlock Caitlin Clark's full potential? The answer, a name that echoes through the halls of basketball history: Larry Bird. The moment you hear it, you think greatness. 3 NBA championships, 3 MVP awards, 12 All-Star selections, a Hall of Fame career that redefined what it meant to compete at the highest level. But Larry Bird is more than a stat sheet. He is Indiana basketball. Born and raised in the tiny town of French Lick, Bird carried his blue-collar work ethic, his relentless competitiveness, and his unshakable will to win all the way to the national stage. At Indiana State, he gave us one of the most legendary moments in college basketball history, the 1979 NCAA championship duel with Magic Johnson, a game that didn't just captivate the nation, but launched a rivalry that would shape the NBA forever. And when his playing days ended, Bird didn't step away from the game. He reinvented himself. As a coach and later as an executive, he built teams, cultivated cultures, and masterminded strategies that carried the Indiana Pacers to the brink of glory. His mind for the game became just as respected as his jumper. Larry Bird has been a winner at every single level, and now for the first time, his unmatched basketball genius is crossing into new territory, a place few could have ever predicted: the WNBA. Think about it, the hometown legend, the ultimate strategist, the living embodiment of Indiana basketball, stepping into the Indiana Fever locker room. This isn't just a coaching change, it's a collision of eras, a partnership between a generational talent in Caitlin Clark and one of the greatest basketball minds the sport has ever known. The only question is, will it work? Because when you put a fearless rookie phenom and a battle-tested legend on the same path, history is guaranteed to be written. The Indiana Fever aren't just making a coaching move, they're stepping into a new era. With Larry Bird at the helm, this isn't just about strategy, it's about transformation. His legendary mind, his decades of leadership, and his ability to mentor the next generation carry more than just X's and O's. They carry the promise of reshaping not only a team, but the entire WNBA. This isn't symbolic, this is seismic. Bird represents a bridge, linking the golden history of basketball with the fearless talent of today. He's not just giving the Fever a coach, he's giving them a trusted leader, a cultural force, and a living standard of excellence. Think about it. With Larry Bird's wisdom guiding Caitlin Clark's fearless creativity, you don't just get wins, you get a revolution. The ripple effects, massive. Expectations across the league will change, strategies will evolve, standards of greatness will be rewritten. This isn't just a headline, it's the start of a new chapter in basketball history. Because the partnership between Larry Bird and Caitlin Clark, it's not just intriguing, it's explosive. On the court, Bird's unmatched IQ meets Clark's generational talent, his fundamentals, her flair, his experience, her instincts, his legendary leadership, her rising stardom. Every practice would feel like a masterclass. Every game could become a showcase of intelligence, creativity, and intensity the WNBA has never seen before. And that leaves us with the burning question: just how far can this alliance go? Can Larry Bird and Caitlin Clark not only transform the Fever, but reshape the future of women's basketball itself? But here's the thing, this partnership isn't just about basketball. The impact of Larry Bird and Caitlin Clark joining forces could ripple far beyond the hardwood, reshaping not only the Indiana Fever, but the entire sports world. Imagine the spotlight, national broadcasts, viral highlights, feature stories in every major outlet. The media frenzy would be unlike anything the WNBA has ever seen. Every game, every play, every soundbite would capture the imagination of fans everywhere. And the business side, off the charts. Corporate sponsors would rush to attach their names to the Fever. Ticket sales would skyrocket. Arenas wouldn't just sell out, they'd overflow. Fan engagement, both in person and online, could hit heights the league has never witnessed. But this isn't just about hype, this is about legacy. With Bird's mentorship and Clark's charisma, the Fever could build something lasting. They could launch youth programs, expand player development, and strengthen community outreach, turning this moment into a foundation for generations to come. Because this isn't just a basketball team anymore. This is culture, this is innovation, this is leadership in motion. The Fever could inspire an entire generation of young athletes, showing them that women's basketball isn't just a sport, it's a platform for empowerment, influence, and change. And that's the true power of this partnership. Larry Bird brings unmatched wisdom. Caitlin Clark brings fearless brilliance. Together they could transform the Fever into more than a contender. They could turn them into a symbol, a beacon of possibility for the entire sports world. This isn't simply coaching. This is a statement. The Indiana Fever are no longer just a franchise. They're on the brink of becoming the future of women's professional basketball. And with Bird and Clark leading the way, that future has never looked brighter. But here's the ultimate question. Could their influence stretch beyond the WNBA itself? The answer is yes, and it's already happening. Because the partnership of Larry Bird and Caitlin Clark isn't just about wins, stats, or championships. It's about redefining the very identity of women's professional basketball, and maybe even rewriting the future of women's sports as a whole. Bringing in a figure like Larry Bird isn't just a headline, it's a statement. A statement that greatness in basketball, coaching, mentorship, leadership, knows no boundaries. It isn't confined by gender, it isn't limited by tradition. His wisdom, his strategy, his relentless competitive fire, these transcend divisions, they elevate the game itself. And then there's Caitlin Clark. She's not just dazzling on the court, she's shifting culture, turning the Fever into must-watch TV, driving attendance, sparking conversations, reshaping the way women's basketball is seen, marketed, and celebrated. Her voice now carries weight in boardrooms, in team strategy meetings, in conversations that once excluded players altogether. She's not just a star, she's a catalyst. And together, Clark and Bird form something we've never seen before. A collision of eras, a fusion of raw talent with legendary mastery. History meeting modern brilliance, athletic excellence intersecting with cultural influence. This is more than basketball, it's a revolution. Because what they're building in Indiana isn't just about the Fever, it's about proving what women's sports can be when boldness, innovation, and vision take center stage. And the ripple effects, they'll stretch far beyond the hardwood, into culture, into opportunity, into the very way the next generation of athletes sees themselves. Larry Bird and Caitlin Clark aren't just writing a new chapter for the Fever, They're helping write a new chapter for the future of sports. Fans, media, and sponsors aren't just paying attention, they're captivated. Drawn in not only by Caitlin Clark's star power, but by the promise of a bold, transformative vision for the game itself. Television ratings, they could explode. Social media, already buzzing like never before. Corporate partnerships, the Fever are suddenly one of the most attractive brands in sports, because this isn't just basketball anymore. Every Fever game has the potential to become a must-watch spectacle, a showcase of strategy, brilliance, and fearless playmaking. A stage where athleticism meets innovation, and where leadership isn't just about winning, it's about changing the very direction of the sport, and the ripple effect, it could reshape the WNBA. Other teams will be watching closely, studying, learning, maybe even daring to copy this fearless approach to leadership and player empowerment. The Indiana Fever are no longer just participants in the league, they're pioneers, trailblazers, a living blueprint for what the future of women's basketball can become. With Caitlin Clark and Larry Bird at the helm, this team isn't just chasing victories, they're rewriting what's possible. They're setting the standard for generations of players, coaches, and executives to come. This is a new era, a collision of history, talent, ambition, and strategy. And we are witnessing the future of women's basketball being written right before our eyes. But now, we want to hear from you. What do you think about Caitlin Clark's reaction to Stephanie White being replaced by Larry Bird? Was this the bold move the Fever needed, or a gamble too risky to pay off? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next big story shaking up the basketball world.